Hello, welcome. So if you're watching this, you probably have just received or are about to receive your 3D makeup in the mail. So this is, I just got my makeup, now what do I do? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a very simple step-by-step process of what you do with your makeup once you get it, as far as putting it in your compact and organizing it. And then I'm going to go through a really simple first-time application, okay? So there is a learning curve to this makeup. We are doing this in a way that's very different from the way we used to put makeup on in the past. And that's because this is a 3D makeup. So in other words, we are working with several different colors and we're just going to put them on the places on our face where they go. It's going to bring forth the best parts of our features and shade, and we're going to contour away some of the areas that we aren't crazy about, okay? So I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to think if you don't love it day one, that it's the wrong makeup for you, okay? It may take 2 or 3 times, but I promise you're going to figure this out. And if you just keep referring back to this video, I promise you're going to nail it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you what to do with your compact. So hopefully you got enough makeup to get a compact for free. I'm sure you did. And I hope you have one big enough to hold all the colors you have, because we don't want any of your tins to be left out. The best part of this makeup is opening it up and you have everything here. That's what keeps it so fast, okay? So you're going to get your little tin of makeup. You're going to slide carefully the lid off, and it's magnetic. This is tin and the case is magnetic, so it's just going to pop right in there. It's not going to fall out. You know what I mean? It's in there. So the way you organize your compact is going to be up to you. Maybe at first it might be simple to organize them by color in the order you're going to put them on, but eventually you're going to know what color goes where, and it won't matter. You'll recognize the colors and you'll know. But you just want to line them up and make sure that they're all in their place, okay? Now, once you've done that, I'm going to go now into my compact and I'm going to show you how to put this on for the very first time. This is going to be revolutionary for you because you're going to use so little. So the only time anybody ever has a problem with this makeup is for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. One, the color is slightly off, okay? So after you put your makeup on for the first time, you're going to send me a picture because I need to see it on your face and I need to make sure that the colors I recommended to you are right. There's a margin for error. I'm going off of a picture. A lot of it, there's a lot of factors at play. The lighting, the time of the day, your camera quality. There's a lot at stake and at factor when I color match. So there is a possibility I'm a shade off, okay? It's not a big deal. You have 60 days to swap a color, okay? So I will know, and you will probably know as soon as you see it on whether it's right or not, okay? So that's the first thing. We got to make sure the color is right. You're going to send me a picture. The second reason that some people struggle is because they're putting too much on, and that's because you're going back to the bottle liquid foundation days of where you're just pouring it in your hand or pouring it on a sponge and just putting it everywhere, okay? We're not doing that. We're going to put the tiniest bit of product where it goes, and I promise you, you will have at the end a very sheer one layer of makeup on your face if you do it this way, okay? So let's just get started. Likely you have at least one brush. I hope you got one of our brushes because that's how I'm going to demonstrate it. And honestly, I can't guarantee this makeup is going to be right if you're not using one of our brushes. You may have a great brush, but it may not be for cream makeup. So these brushes are made for cream makeup. That's why I always recommend 1 or 2, and then you have them for life and you know you're always going to have the best application, okay? So I'm going to talk as if you got a brush. This is my favorite. This may not be the one you have. Doesn't matter. The principle is the same, okay? This is the detail brush. I'm going to do all my makeup with one brush as if you have one brush, okay? If you got 2 brushes, then that's even better. Play around with it. When it gets to the blush part, use this one. This is actually my favorite brush to apply my blush. But to keep it simple, I'm just going to use one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you're going to look at your face and you're going to look at your colors. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed. We're going to do this one step at a time. It's very likely that I gave you more than one color. I may have given you 2. I may have recommended 3. I use 3, okay? And that's because our faces are all different colors, right? You can see on my face, I've got some dark purple under here. I'm a little red here. It doesn't show up as much on camera because of the ring light, but it's always a little bit redder right here, okay? And then I've got my other color on my face. So to just have one color do it all, It's not going to work. So that's why I've recommended always at least 2 colors, possibly 3. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to color correct. So we're going to correct the areas that need adjusted, okay? So if that's your under eye, let's do that first, okay? I'm going to take my small end of my brush. Whatever the corrective color I recommended to you, I want you to dip into that. That could be a wheat or a June if it's to correct a dark circle under your eyes. If you're not sure what color was for that, stop this video and then go back and you can just DM me and ask me, okay? So for me, I know that my yellow color, which is June, is going to correct that purple under eye. So I'm going to take my small end. I'm going to dip into my June, which is right there. And literally, do you see what I did? Tap, tap, tap. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to swipe. You're not going to dig. You're not going to run that brush over the color. Period. Tap, tap, tap. That's all you're ever going to do with this makeup, especially in the beginning while you're getting used to it, okay? So now I'm going to apply it. And I'm just going to apply this color where I have the darkness. I'm just going to look and I'm just going to put it in the areas I need it, okay? We're not going to do this all over our eye. We don't need it. Just attack and put it where it's darkest. Do you see how already that's better? Look how that under eye now has been corrected. If you want to add a little more here, you can, but go very, very, very light and you're just sort of tapping it in, okay? Now, I don't obsess with every single bit of darkness gone from my under eye. I find that when you have no variation of color, your eyes look very puffy and very artificial around here. So I don't have to get every bit of darkness gone. I just want the majority of it to be neutralized, okay? So let's go back and do our other eye. Tap, tap into that color. Very light. The consistency of this color, of this makeup and the concentrated color of it makes it where you don't need a lot. You're just barely going to tap, and you can run it in there over your eyelid if you want to. Sorry, itchy nose. So I'm just being very conscious of where I'm putting it. There. Now, I've color corrected. Now this shows up as even more red now. Do you see that? Okay, so now you can see how I'm going to do this. So the next thing I'm going to do is this area here. The reddest part of your face, or the darkest part of your face, is what we're going to talk about next. So you need to look at your face and find out where it's the darkest. Do you have under eye melasma and freckles? That may be now where you go into your contour color and blur that out, okay? Do you have redness here? Maybe you have some redness along your jawline. Maybe you have some acne, okay? We're going to take care of that now. So the darkest part of our face is what we're going to do next, okay? So I'm going to go in now with the big end of my brush into my darkest color. So your darkest color is going to be different than my darkest color possibly, but you can look and see when you look at your colors, that's my darkest color. That's contour, so we're not talking about that. But out of the 3 foundation colors, that is the darkest, right? That's my darkest. So that's what I'm going to go into now to cover the darkest parts of my face. Dark covers dark better and with less product, okay? Do you understand? That's the difference where I want you to shift your mind to. We don't put the lightest color to cover the darkest part of our face. It won't work, and you'll have to put way more product on than necessary. Then you'll hate your makeup because it's cakey. So darkest color is on my brush. Again, I just tapped a couple of times, and I'm going to hit this with it. Look at that. Do you see how it's already neutralized it? That's because I have the right color. If I were to be putting a light color on this, I would have to go back several more times. See that? I'd have to go back several more times to correct it. So I'm not doing that. I'm going to bring my darkest color up here a little bit just because I have a little bit of age spots there. And again, because they're darker, this will cover better. Now I'm going to do a separate video on covering age spots and sunspots, but you may have to go even darker than this. In other words, like I said, you may have to go in with your contour color if you have major age spots in a little area and tap that dark contour color like this, all in that area to blur it. And then you can go back with your regular foundation color over on top to sort of hide it. Okay, but we'll do that another day. We're going to keep this simple. Okay, so that's done. I've gotten rid of all that red. Do you see that? With very little product. Feels like nothing, okay? Now, I'm going to go in now with my lightest color. So my lightest color is Candlelit, that one there. Okay, so for Candlelit, big end, I'm not cleaning this brush and I'm not switching brushes. You don't have to do that with these brushes. Maybe with other brushes you do, but you don't have to with this one. So now the lightest color I'm putting here on my forehead. I don't have to go all the way up. I'm just putting it here in the center. Do you see how I'm leaving this alone? You'll see why later. Now I'm going to go in with that lighter color again. I'm going to go on my jawline, my chin. I'm just tapping, barely anything on my brush. I'd rather you go in for more later than put too much on initially. We're going to hit that. Okay, that's done. Okay, now the beige or the foundation, the highlight part of our program is over. Okay, I'm not going to go into these colors anymore except for the very end when I'm going to cover this up. Okay, because I just have that yellow there that's a little too yellow, but I'm going to leave it till the end. Now we're going to contour. Okay, so we're putting contour in places we've got no other makeup because we're not layering products. Do you see what I mean? We're not layering products. Same brush, not cleaning it. I'm going to go into my darkest color. I do have to put my brush a little more into this one just because contour is a little stiffer consistency, and I do have to tap a few more times to get it on my brush. So now we're going to go up here. Contour is not to be skipped. Because what happens if we don't contour or blush, especially if we don't contour, is we're leaving our face very flat and one-dimensional and just beige, okay? So by doing this step, and I'm just putting contour up here and bring it down. I'm just putting it on my hairline. I'm kind of putting it like a V. So it's going up to here, back down here. And you can bring it down a little ways here, but I don't really want you to be in this area. We're keeping the center of our face nice and bright. So do you see what's happened? What's happened is now my forehead has got all this really pretty dimension and color. It's not just this expanse of beige forehead anymore. So that's what we're doing when we're contouring, and you can keep adding until you're happy. I want you to bring it all the way down here between your eyebrow and your hairline, because we're just shading all this area here. And just keep adding until you're happy with it, but make sure you can see it. Okay, I get so many ladies who, send me their picture of their first time application and they say, what do you think of my contour? And I'm like, where is it? So make sure you can see it. You can make it as bold or as subtle as you want, but make sure it's enough to where you can see there's a darker color up here. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to carve a little bit of a cheekbone out. Same brush, same contour color. I'm just sort of tapping it on the edge. I'm just putting it right along the edge there, okay? And we're going to kind of put it right here under our cheekbone. Just sort of tapping and stamping, okay? If you are unsure where to put this, here's an easy way to figure it out. Take your finger, find your cheekbone, then find where it drops off, and you can kind of put your finger underneath it, like there. That's where you're going to put this. You're going to keep it kind of back and high and push it up. Do you see that? What I've just done? I've kind of taken my face in a little bit with that contour. So simple. Just like this. And don't bring it down too low, because that will kind of drag your face down. We're just keeping it back all the way to the hairline. Just like that. And this is the same thing. Keep adding until you're happy with it. Keep adding until you're satisfied with the amount of color you have on. And just so you know, if you keep blending with this brush, eventually it will kind of disappear. So don't overblend, okay? Just kind of stop when you're happy. But you see what's happened now? I've got all this pretty warmth and dimension here. That's why contour is so important not to skip, because it adds something that you're not going to get from blush or your foundation color, okay? And I still have one layer of makeup on my face because we put this color where there was nothing else, okay? Because we didn't start by painting our face with beige, right? Right. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is a little bit of blush, okay? So same brush I can use. I don't need to clean it. I may just do that, wipe it off on my hand to make sure there's not an excess, but I'm going to now dip into my blush color, okay? So these blushes are highly pigmented. You don't start with a lot. You start with very little, and you're just going to tap it on. And it's a cream, again, like everything else, so it's going to just melt into your skin. And just like everything else, it's buildable. So start with just a little and add as you go. Add until you've got the desired pigment you want. The great thing about these blushes, guys, these lip and cheeks, is that they almost create like an ombre effect. So they're not just like a swipe of powder on your face. You really can't tell where the colors start and stop, which I think is so beautiful. They give the most natural flush of color. Isn't that beautiful? It just looks so pretty and natural and glowy and pink, right? Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up that corrective color. So you may have had to use a pretty strong color to color correct your under eye, okay? I kind of let that sit for a minute. I kind of let it warm up by the heat of my skin, and now it's nice and, you know, melted into my skin. But I don't really want to leave it. It's a little yellow for me. So I'm just going to go with my small end back into my lightest color again, tiny bit, and I'm just barely going to tap a little bit over it to cover. Just a little. Now, if you don't mind the color of that left on your skin, then by all means leave it. By all means. But for me, it's just a little yellow to leave. So I am just going to cover it a little bit with my lightest color, just to give it a little bit less yellow appearance, okay? And then this is my favorite way to honestly make sure I've not applied too much makeup. I just take my fingers and I just tap it. Throughout the day, if you want to make sure that your makeup has not settled into your lines, it shouldn't unless you put too much, take your finger and just press it out. Just tap it out. You don't have to apply more. The makeup doesn't disappear. It doesn't evaporate. It doesn't go anywhere. It's still on your face and it moves with your face, but it's possible it may have moved a little bit in a place you don't want it. Not a big deal. Just take your warm fingers and just pat it out. Just pat it out. Okay, that's it. You've put your makeup on. It was very simple, right? And here's how you know. I want you to always test this, especially the first few times you put this on. I want you to do this test. I want you to take your fingers and your hands and I want you to press, excuse me, all over your face. If it comes off on your hands, you've put too much. If it feels sticky, you've put too much. If it feels tacky in any way, you've put too much. Okay, so it's very easy to put too much on at first. Almost everybody does. Okay, and what helps is the right brush, and what helps is just remembering, tap, tap, tap that brush into your makeup, not digging, not swiping, not painting your face with beige. Because what happens if you start with that and you start to add all the things on top, then you are creating way too much makeup on your face. Just put the colors where they go, and I promise you will never ever feel a sticky or tacky or oily or greasy feeling, okay? If there's any time where you feel like you're struggling with this makeup and it's just not working for you, I want you to reach out to me, because what breaks my heart is if somebody is putting too much or they have the wrong color and they never reach out to me and they just give up. And that's the last thing I want you to do. I want you to love this makeup, and I know you will. We just have to make sure you're doing it the correct way, okay? Some people get it, and day one, they've got it, and they're in love, and I get a text that says, I have found my makeup forever. I will never buy anything else. That's how I kind of was, because I just really, I guess, put the right amount on the very first time. But I don't want you to struggle. So please, please, please reach out to me after you get your makeup so we can just make sure everything is the right color and you're putting on the exact amount you need to, okay? I hope this was helpful. I want you to put your makeup on with me with this video because I think it will really make a difference. And again, thank you so much for taking a leap of faith and trying this makeup. Give it a couple days and I know you will love it as much as I do. Thanks. Thanks for watching.